Modern Warfare 2 just dropped its first raid, Atomgrad Episode 1. It is an extremely intense mode that will test your friendship and trust with underwater levels.
Where are we going?
Through the door! No, there's nothing in there! Give it back! Oh, thank God.
And doors that can chop your mates in half.
That we opened.
Oh.
Oh wow, I just completely killed you.
But the hardest part of this has to be the final stage. This section of the raid has 3 rounds, where you and your teammate will need to call out to each other in an attempt to decipher a code 3 times. The code will get trickier with each round, and so will the masses of enemies pouring in to stop you. From bomb drones and heavily armoured enemies to gas flooding the room. One player should be at the console ready to start it. Once that player does start round 1, they'll need to either memorise the code or take a photo of it. This player should then call out to the others and let them know what they're seeing on the console.
I need O-H-X-E-B.
This player should then run to room B to find which letters and numbers match up with what is on the console. The other 2 players will need to be in room A. This is because room A gets the most action in terms of enemies. This is also the only room that fills with gas, making things incredibly difficult. One player should be focused on shooting the enemies, whilst the other player should be reading out the letters and numbers to help the player at the console. This is where things get tricky. After solving the first code, the players will then need to rotate, as each player can only use the console once. You'll need to stick with the same process for round 2, having 2 players in room A and 1 manning room B and the console. The only thing different about round 2 is the amount of enemies. If a teammate goes down, it doesn't matter, you can take your time. The code will reset and you can get it on the next try. However, if you get the code wrong, you will have to start back at round 1. So do take your time. This round is insane. The timer is much shorter, there are loads more enemies, and swarms of bomb drones. The process will have to be switched up for this round. You'll need 1 player in room A, 1 player in room B, and 1 stood at the console. Fortunately, although there are more enemies, they are evenly spread this round.
5-5 is your first 2 digits.
And 1 is your last, so 551.
Come on!
Yes!
Oh my God, we did it!
A couple of tips to note: if you need to get somewhere quickly, hold the crouch button to hold your character underwater, then you can swim, which is much faster than running, and you'll also be undetected by enemies. Tip 2, wear a riot shield on your back. This will stop you getting downed randomly when you're running away from enemies. Tip 3, if you run out of ammo, pick up a random gun. They come fully stacked. Tip 4, keep your armor plates topped up as often as possible. Then tip 5, check your backpack for additional tactical and lethal grenades you may have picked up, because you will need them. When you finish all 3 rounds, you'll need to wait just over 3 minutes for the blast doors to open. In this time, you'll have to dig in and fight a lot of armored enemies. Leaving the blast doors will result in the enemy planting a bomb, so unfortunately you will need to stay put. The 3 minutes will feel like an eternity, but the best way to do it is having 1 player looking right, 1 player looking left, and then the 3rd player jumping in between whoever needs help. You'll then get multiple barrages of bomb drones, which are easy enough to take down with an auto weapon. For the armored enemies, stay behind the barrels either side and use proximity mines to keep them at a distance. Then finally, when the Juggernaut comes, throw all tacticals and lethals at him. Flashes work perfectly to buy you some time here. 2 players will be enough to take him down, whilst the 3rd should be keeping the bomb drones and enemies at bay. Then the last minute will feel impossible. But fortunately, once the Juggernaut goes down, you will have a minigun to level the playing field. If you're looking for friends to play with for the raid, then jump into our Discord, as we have thousands of players that will be more than happy to join. So go have fun and don't forget to subscribe.
So Chris, just remember your numbers, we'll tell you ours once you're back at the
Ah!
Never mind.